All right, chapter 10. So this starts off our development talking of the different age groups. We're going to talk about the infants, and this is the period of time where kids grow the fastest, and they really go from a absolutely um, dependent newborn to a very independent 12-month-old. So, in a matter of 12 months, they are unable to really do anything for themselves. And by 12 months, they are eating by themselves, sometimes feeding themselves. They are saying a few words. They are saying, understanding words. They're walking. They are doing a lot independently. So, a lot going on this first year of life. All right, so birth to 12 months. So you got to know these sort of proportional growth changes, okay? So 5 to 7 ounces in a week. So basically, you can expect an ounce a day of weight gain for the first 6 months of life. They're going to double that birth weight by 6 months, okay? Make sure you know that they're going to double the birth weight by 6 months. That's a growth and developmental milestone that we look for. That tells us nutritional status. That tells us that they're growing appropriately. They're going to triple that birth weight by the first year of life. Okay, their height's going to increase by an inch per month for the first 6 months. And when we talk about growth, people often will say, "Gosh, they must be going through a growth spurt." But there's actually some truth to that, because they really do go through periods of time where they have rapid growth and rapid maturation of those cells. So they're hungry all the time. They're eating more frequently. They're sleeping more soundly. They're sleeping longer. And that's sort of a periodical thing that happens. Okay, fontanelles. We've got one in the front. We've got one in the back. Posterior, anterior. Posterior fontanelle is going to fuse first. Okay, that's the back one. So it's about 6 to 8 weeks. Your anterior fontanelle is going to stay open. That's your soft spot, the window to the brain, in other words, in our infants. And this is going to close between 12 and 18 months. So if I told you you were seeing a child in the office for their 15-month well child check and their fontanelle was open, you would answer the question as this is a normal finding, okay? That would be a normal finding because it could be open at 17, 18 months and starting to close, and all of that would be normal findings. So those don't close between 12 and 18 months. Okay, what's going on in this infant period of time? Well, our respirations are slowing. So the neonate breathes very, very fast, very, very rapid, very irregular. Okay. Over this first year of life, our respiratory system is maturing. It's becoming more regular. It's becoming more slow. We're becoming less of a rapid breather. Our immunologic system, it's immature. We're getting better. That's why we're sick all the time in that first year of life. Every time we get exposed to something, we're getting a cold. We have a runny nose all the time. Our body is getting used to those. It's building that immunity, building those antibodies. Our cardiovascular system's slowing down. Okay. Our newborn babies are born with very fast heart rates, 100s, 120s. It's dropping as it matures. Okay. It's getting more and more regular, more and more slow as we get older and through that first year of life. Hematopoietic changes, that fetal hemoglobin is going to decrease around 6 months. That fetal hemoglobin is going to be present there for the first few months of life. It's going to help sort of bridge that gap of iron insufficiency. The breastfed baby is going to get maternal iron stores from breast milk. The formula-fed baby is going to get that iron in that formula. Around that 6-month period, we start to introduce solids, and those iron stores are starting to drop off around for the mom in the breast milk. All right, digestive process. Those are maturing. Everyone has heard about the infant who is gassy, who is uncomfortable after eating, who spits up all the time. All of these things start to get better as that baby gets older. And that's the beauty of these things sort of maturing through that first year of life. Um, thermoregulation, they get better at regulating their temperature, and that becomes much easier for them. They don't get as cold as fast as that neonate does. And then sensory, so that binocularity, that ability to see 3D, okay? This starts happening around 3 to 4 months. It is definitely there by 6 months. But what's interesting about this binocularity is what we see at with the 4-monther is what are they starting to do? They're starting to reach and grab for different things. You'll put them on a mat and things that are hanging down, they're reaching up for those. They're reaching out for mom and dad's face. Well, the reason for that is they're no longer seeing as a flat image. They're not seeing like a picture. They're seeing a face actually as it is. The nose comes out from the face. The eyes are set in. The cheekbones are out. The ears are there. They grab onto those things. They're starting to see that. That's binocularity. That's ability to sort of see 3D, see images for what they really are. All right, so we talked about this last week, 4 areas of development: fine motor, gross motor, language, and social cognitive, okay? These are the 4 areas that we are going to look at. You have to know all 4 areas. And like I said, you can have developmental delays in one area and be completely fine in a different area. You can have um, um, different types of therapies, and those will get you up to speed. Those will get those delays up to speed and get those caught up. Okay, so the 4 different areas, we're going to talk about those areas. All right, when we're looking at fine motor development in the infant, okay, well, what are we looking at first? Well, the first thing we do is, well, we hold an object, okay? So if we put a rattle in an early infant, around 2 months age, they will grasp that object. They'll reach their hand around that object and they'll grasp it and then they'll let go. Okay, they're not going to hold on to that rattle prolonged period of time. Just like the 4-month-old, they will actually voluntarily grasp at that rattle. Okay, once we've grasped that rattle, then what are we doing? Well, we're transferring from hand to hand. We're going back and forth between hands, and we do this by 7 months. Okay. Now, what is this telling us? This going back and forth between hands, transferring those objects. Well, that's telling us that the brain is talking to itself. The right side of the brain is talking to the left side, and we want that to occur. We are asking, is that baby transferring objects between hands? We want the brain to talk to itself. All right, once we've got that big sort of grasp of the hand, then we're talking about the pincer grasp, okay? And that's where we're talking about picking up things with the thumb and the first index finger. And that's a very fine motor skill that we have to monitor and master. So we're learning to pick up Cheerios, we're picking up Puffs, we're picking up little things on the floor, and we're putting everything into our mouth, okay? Same time, we're learning how to put things into a container, take things out of a container. We're building a block. We're building a tower, okay? When we're talking about development and fine motor development, make sure you know how many blocks children are stacking at different ages. That's a developmental milestone that we like to monitor. Gross motor, okay? So these are big movements, okay? These are the things that we're doing with our body. Fine motor is more so with our hands, okay? That's fine manipulation of things. Gross motor is our body, so our head control, okay? Head control comes first, right? So what do we see when we pick up a baby when we hold onto their hands and we pull them up from their back and we pull them up to a sitting position? We see head lag, right? At the 2-month visit. The 4-month visit, we don't see that, right? We see that good head control. So in other words, that baby's going to pull their head up with them when you're pulling that baby up by their hands. They have no head lag. So we're sitting that baby on our lap. That baby's holding its head up great. And everybody's heard that grandma say, oh my gosh, look at her hold the head up so well. Yep, grandma's always looking for that. All right, good head control. Then we're rolling, okay? We're going to roll. All right, we got to master that core before we can sit up. So at 4 months, we're rolling from back to their side. 6 months, we're rolling from both ways, okay? Back to abdomen, abdomen to back. After we're a good roller, we're getting those obliques really working those obliques, getting those ab muscles going. Then we're going to be a good sitter. Okay. The 4-monther is going to balance its head well when we're holding them in a sitting position. The 6-monther is going to sit in a high chair well with a straight back. They've got that support on their back. When we're on the floor, that 7-monther is going to lean on their hands. I call that a tripod sitting. That's a weeble wobble sitter. They're going to lean forward. They're going to spread out those legs, and they're going to be a tripod sitter. That 8-monther is going to sit very well. They're going to sit with a straight back. They're going to sit unsupported. That's a huge milestone. Other things that they're going to do when we're talking about gross motor development, we're talking about locomotion as well. So we're talking about moving and grooving. They're on the move. They're going, okay? They're going places. Where are they moving? Well, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to sort of be on their tummy, and then they're going to be able to get up to the sitting position. So they'll be on their tummy playing, they're reaching and grabbing, and then they're going to get to that sitting position. They're going to kick those legs underneath them, and they're going to sit. Okay? You're going to start crawling by 6 to 7 months. And this isn't what we typically call crawling, where we're up on all fours. Crawling is like army crawling. So envision sort of pulling themselves on their arm with their legs flat out on the floor, and they're army crawling, okay? We're scooting, okay? In other words, creeping on hands and knees around 9 months, maybe sooner, okay? Remember, it may be a little bit sooner. Creeping on hands and knees. So in other words, we're up on our hands, we're up on our knees, and we're sort of creeping along the floor. Then we become a good crawler, okay? Once we're a good crawler, then we're on the move. We're going places. Safety-wise, we've got to look and see what they can get their hands on. So we got to protect them, right? We got to get to the outlets. We got to get the things that they can pull down onto their heads. Once we're a good crawler, we're going to get over to that furniture. We're going to pull to stand, okay? That's the 9-monther that's going to pull to stand. By 11 months, we're cruising, okay? We're walking along the furniture. We're walking along. We're grabbing things along the way. We might even walk with a little bit of assistance at 11 months. And by 12 months, we're typically going to walk alone. That's not going to be every child, okay? But the typical 12-month-old is going to walk on their own. All right, social development. Love this, okay? So what is the main point of the infant? Attachment. So babies become attached to their primary caregiver. That's what they're programmed to do. That's what they're innately made to do, okay? Anyone who's meeting their daily needs, that baby's going to attach to. So they're going to attach to grandma. They're going to attach to grandpa, auntie, uncle, mom, dad, anybody, siblings they're going to attach to. This is what they are meant to do. This is what we want them to do, okay? How do we assess that this baby is socially engaging with us? How are they meeting us in real life? How are they engaging with us? We want them to engage, right? We're assessing that child early on. That social smile. 2 months old, they're socially smiled. What do we mean by that? Well, baby may smile earlier than 2 months, but the 2-monther, I'm going to smile at that baby. They're going to smile back at me. That social reciprocation of that smile. That 4-monther is going to enjoy that interaction. They are going to start smiling. They're going to maybe even start laughing. They're going to show memory. They're actually going to look at mom and they're going to smile when mom comes into their eyesight. What happens to that 6-monther? Well, they are going to start actually, yeah, I know memory. I know who my mom and dad are. I recognize mom and dad, and I don't like you if you're not mom and dad because you're a stranger. I'm afraid of you. And so that stranger anxiety we start to see around 6 months. We grab on to mom and dad when they try and give the baby to the nursery worker at church. They don't know that nursery worker, okay? Separation anxiety, 8 to 9 months, okay? Holy moly, mom left the living room. I am going to find her. And what else can we do at this stage? What gross motor developmental milestone have we reached? Well, now we're crawling. So mom has left the room. I don't like it. I'm going after her.